Alright, what's up guys? Welcome to episode 97 of Techfall Tabletalks. I'm your host as always, Julius Grit. And right now we're going to talk about Oumar Tounkara. He's from the Bronx. NYC, beat the streets wrestling, right? So he's heading into Fargo, right? And there's a bunch of guys in NYC heading to Fargo. But there's something interesting, something very interesting about Oumar. Oumar Tounkara is New York City's first NHSCA national champ, right? And over the past, decade, it's been at Virginia Beach, so we know of it as Virginia Beach Nationals. He's the first one to win that tournament. We've had plenty of guys All-American and such, but Oumar's the first one to win it. He won that tournament, and not only did he win it, which I covered, if you go back in the archives, he won it twice. Oumar Tounkara is NYC's only two-time NHSCA champ and the only one to win the national tournament at all, Virginia Beach Nationals. That's very impressive. Very, very impressive. Given the talent pool that you'll see later on in the tournament, it's a tournament that Kyle Dake won way back when. It was in 2007, I believe. Kyle Dake had won it. So look at that, right? Somebody from NYC can be mentioned in the same vein as somebody like Kyle Dake, at least in this instance. Really cool. So we're going into Fargo, right? And I know Virginia Beach is folk style, but bear with me. So we're going into Fargo, right? And I'm over here on the USA bracketing website, the new software they have. It's pretty good. They're doing a pretty good job with it. So I'm not going to go make this a long episode. I'm not going to go into every single Fargo match that Oumar had. I'm not going to review the matches right now or anything. I'll save that for after Fargo coming up very soon in a matter of days. But last year at Fargo 2024, every match that Oumar won, now he took 7th at that tournament, he All-American, which is great. His first time All-American at Fargo, phenomenal. But every match that he won was either a pin or a tech fall. Alright? Every single match. Now, Fargo's a tough tournament, so he lost, the matches he lost, they were by either pin or tech fall. Because Fargo's a very tough tournament. It's one of the toughest tournaments in the United States. Definitely the toughest freestyle tournament in the United States. If you want to compare folk style and freestyle tournaments, that's a different ball game because the rules are different, right? Folk style and freestyle. Then you throw Greco in the mix, that's a different ball game. But just to look at the tough tournaments in the United States, Fargo's at the top of that list. And Oumar Tounkara from New York City, from the Bronx, and those of you that know me personally, you know that I don't live very far away from where Oumar lives at in the Bronx, That, I know the area he's from, and he goes out to this tournament after not placing the previous 2 years that he was there. He goes out in this tournament, and every single match that he won, he either pinned his opponent or teched his opponent. He didn't just go out there and edge out a win. He didn't just go out there and wrestle a 4-minute match. No, he pinned, he got them out of there. He got his opponents out. He made his opponents feel terrible when they went home. He made his opponents feel terrible when they walked off the mat. He got them out of there. Fargo is a tournament you have to qualify for. Every state in the United States, every state, all 50 states, that includes Hawaii and Alaska. Every state has to qualify for Fargo. Every single state, all 50 states. So if you're there, you deserve to be there. You earned it. You earned your way in that tournament. Alright? Now, is there a totem pole? Yes. Are some guys, some guys might have an easier time than others? You could look at it that way. If you really dig into everyone's bracket, you might look at it that way. You might be able to, sift some people out and pretty much figure out, all right, these guys are here. These like 20% of the guys that are here, they're just here. They might want a match or two, but they're definitely not going to make it to the blood round. And these bunch of guys here, they made it to the blood round, but they're definitely not going to All-American. And then a lot of the times you could say, all right, when you get past the blood rounds, you get to the All-American rounds, or you get into the blood rounds, that's when the tournament starts. That's when you really have the high-level competition. Well, Oumar proved that he is the high-level competition. Oumar Tounkara is the high-level wrestler you're going to have to deal with. Oumar Tounkara is the high-level wrestler that you need to be scared of. And he proved that last year. Because he got his opponents out. He got them out of there. That's the equivalent of like if it was an MMA tournament and he knocked out all of his opponents, or he TKO'd all of his opponents, or he submitted all his opponents en route to becoming the MMA champion. That's a very similar deal here. He finished all of his opponents in these wrestling matches. He teched them and he pinned them. That was it. They had no chance of beating Oumar. So much so that the only competition that could put up a fight against him were the people that were able to tech him, The only matches that he lost here were by tech. And that happens. It's a very tough tournament. That's the nature of the beast. But the fact that every match that he did win, was by either tech or pin. That's crazy. And there was one match here, William Jakeway of South Carolina. He beat Oumar in the round 2 contests. He beat him by decision 13-6. So that was a tougher match. That was a 4-minute match. That was a complete match, right? I don't remember watching that match or not. I do remember watching Oumar's matches at Fargo. I just can't specifically remember, But obviously 13-6 means 4-minute match, right? So Oumar had a full match there with that particular wrestler. But this is what I'm saying. The only people that could put up a fight against him were the top guys that were able to put up a fight. He didn't lose too many times here. And again, I have to point out, every time he won, it was either tech fall or pin. Even in the 7th place match, yes, he got teched by Caleb Noble of Illinois. Okay. But like I'm saying, if anyone's beating Oumar, it's someone that's that much better than him. There's very few people that are better than Oumar Tounkara. And this was last year. Now I'm going to go into this year, right? He's been having a heck of a freestyle season, obviously. That's no secret. Look at Spartan Nationals. He did his thing. Spartan Nationals, there was one wrestler where he had a 19-18 match with. Tough match, tough guy, but he edged out that win. The other 3 wins he had, 2 of them were techs, the other one was a pin. And that pin that he got, that was in 1:20, the beginning of the match. So that was at the Spartan Nationals from May 31st to June 2nd of last year. So this is the kind of stuff that he's been doing for a while. This is how good Oumar's been. Now we're going to switch it to folk style. Oumar won Virginia Beach Nationals again, like I said. I know it's folk style, so it's a little different, but he already beat the country. Alright? Some of these guys that Oumar is going to see again at Fargo, he saw them already. He already saw them. He might recognize certain people. Right? But he beat the country in his weight. He beat the country. Twice. Alright? I know he didn't win Fargo last year, but he has experience being a national champion. He has experience All-American at Nationals. Just to even, no matter what place you land, just to even say All-American at NHSCA's and then went on to All-American at Fargo, that's big. That's very, very big. Especially someone from New York City, especially someone from the Bronx. You know? Especially that. Usually the guys that would do really, really well outside outside of New York City, would usually be from Brooklyn or Staten Island. I just have to call spade a spade, because a lot of them would usually have feeder programs down there. And one school that has a feeder program in the Bronx is Eagle Academy. And they've gotten some guys from MS 129, the middle school, that Oumar Tounkara and Suleiman Ba, someone else I've interviewed. They came from that, and Suleiman Ba is now Division I wrestler at Columbia. I interviewed Xavier Giles. He came straight through Eagle Academy's theater program and wrestled in D1 at Princeton, you know. And all three of them, Oumar, Sule, and Xavier, I mentioned this before, they got the opportunity to wrestle in high school in different places. Go back to those interviews if you want to know where. But they always represented NYC during freestyle and things like that. They would represent Beat the Streets. They stuck with Beat the Streets. They stuck with NYC. It's not like they completely left, you know? And all of that led them to, well, Oumar's a D1 commit. He's not in college yet, but he's committed to Drexel. Suleiman, I've watched him wrestle at Columbia. And then Xavier Giles, I watched him at Princeton. They had a dual meet against each other. So that was very cool to see. You know, these are NYC people being this successful, right? But with the exception of those three, right, the exception of like Eagle Academy, usually it would be Brooklyn and Staten Island, right? Matthew Seitz, my very first guest on this podcast, he was the highest placer from NYC at NHSCA's. Right, I believe he made the finals. He definitely took top 3 at NHSCA's. Then he went on to wrestle at the University of Buffalo for a little bit. You know, he was the highest placing NYC wrestler at Virginia Beach Nationals. Right? And then years later, here comes Oumar Tounkara, wins Nationals. And then he does it again. You know, so it's just a testament to how good Oumar is, but how much better NYC has gotten as a whole. And there have been a bunch of guys from all 5 boroughs placing at states and such over the last 6 or 7 years, which is really good. So the entire city has gotten better. It's no longer just from 1 or 2 places. All 5 boroughs starting to get really good. But Oumar is leading the charge. You know, Oumar is really leading the charge right now. You know, he's going to go to Fargo and make a lot of noise. Alright, he already beat the country. You know? Like, this isn't something that happened a while back. He just recently won Virginia Beach Nationals. It wasn't that long ago. And now Fargo's days away. He already All-American. And like I mentioned earlier, every match that he won last year at Fargo was either a pin or a tech. Alright? Oumar is so good that the only people that are going to beat Oumar are the people that are like light years ahead of him, like top tier people. Why? Because Oumar is one of those top tier people. Only a top tier wrestler can beat another top tier wrestler. Whether you know they're top tier or not, look at Final X. Oumar wrestled at it during the intermission. Look at Final X. Alright? Very few people thought that PJ Duke was at that level until he showed he's at that level. And look what he did, right? So with Oumar Tounkara, there might be a number of people looking, thinking like, oh, he only took 7th at Fargo last year. He's not going to place that much higher. Yeah, okay. I'm going to make one of my first and early predictions here. Oumar Tounkara is going to become the 2025 Fargo National Champion. That's what's gonna happen. Simple as that. He's going to become the Fargo National Champ. Now, do I know what weight he's going? No, I don't. I will find out the same time everyone else does when you boot up your Flow account and you watch Fargo live. That's when I'm going to find out the same time everyone else is. But Oumar's been to Fargo before. He's All-American before, just last year. So no need to be too concerned with the weight and things like that. It's just a matter of he's ready. He's proven that he's ready. At the Beat the Streets National Duels that just happened, every single match he had, he teched his opponent. Every single match. The Beat the Streets National Duels just happened from June 24th to June 26th. That wasn't that long ago. And Oumar teched everybody. He's not playing games. Oumar Tounkara is going to become the 2025 Fargo National Champion. And that's the bottom line.